How
Six.
about that? A commercial featuring Chuck Clark just before we talk to Chuck Clark on Chuck Clark Retirement Day. Chuck, good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
Our conversation brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. All these years in radio, all these wonderful thoughts that people have had on you all this week, I'm sure this has been a little bit overwhelming for you, hasn't it?
Well, it is. It feels like a combination of the last day of school, graduation night, and my wedding day. Oh, coming at once.
There are so many jokes there. So many jokes that you just set me up, Chuck. What do you do this to me for?
I love your responses. That's why.
We have been together since 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Is when I first met you, and I was just telling you about the first time somebody said, "Hey, you're going to meet Chuck Clark today." Maybe, except for he was out doing a road show, and we think he just cut his finger off.
I remember that. Just the very tip.
Give him one up for the team, huh?
Yes,
You lost
just,
the tip of your finger that
yeah.
day. Radio's a tough business.
It
isn't
is. Oh, it can be tough. Yes.
You and I, down through the years, have made a lot of road trips together. We used to do Indiana High football together for a lot of years. And some of those trips I was telling the other day about, you tell war stories about going to eat beforehand if we got out there ahead of time, and how Chuck would always order his meal and then say, and I'll have a strawberry milkshake for dessert, but bring it now while they're making the meal. Never miss dessert, right, Chuck?
I didn't like to wait. That's all. It might be 20 minutes before the dinner comes.
Yeah, you like to be busy.
Yeah.
Like to be busy.
That's good.
And then there was the time we were doing the game at it was a Greensburg-Salem game at Offutt Field,
Mm-hmm.
and we went next door to that restaurant because
Right.
we were there in plenty of time, and we ordered our meal, and it didn't come,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't come, and it didn't come. And what did you say?
Bring me a strawberry milkshake.
Chuck said, "Hey, deliver it.
Just bring it across the street.
We want to switch it to delivery," Chuck says. And they said, "Oh, okay. Well, where do you want it delivered?" Chuck said, "Across the street to the press box."
You remember the time we stopped at the driving range
Oh,
before a game?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember where that was.
Who played?
Uh,
Who played better? Who hit it further? Probably you.
and then probably you. Wasn't very good.
We've gotten into some fixes. The long trips were something else.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Black Hawk and
Yeah.
some of those other places. And I remember I used to stop at your place and pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I could watch your girls as they grew up. Because they were just tiny little things. I don't think Casey was even born when we
No,
first started doing
no,
this.
she wasn't.
Maybe Krista wasn't either.
You're right.
But along they came, and now you're granddaddy.
Yes, 5 times over, with 2 more on the way this summer.
Wow. Wow.
So if you give each grandchild a day of the week,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my time's taken.
Yes. Well, down through the years, I know that you have met many, many people, and you and I have met many people together, most of them in a sports setting. But reminisce, if you would, about the couple of times for what was then known just as the Children's Hospital Fund
Mhm.
Drive. We actually went to Children's Hospital and went through the halls. We met the doctors, we met the nurses, and we met the parents and the kids. Those were some emotional times.
Yeah, we did that for several years. First several years, the fund drive, which began back in 1979, we would go down to Children's Hospital. We'd take our tape recorders, and we talked, as you said, to some of the nurses, the parents, and the people there. And then we'd bring those recordings back, and we'd play them and let the listeners try to get a feel of what it was like to be at Children's Hospital and to be able to see some of those amazing kids that had to go through some unbelievable medical procedures.
Yeah. Yeah, and it made us think, here we are complaining about it was snowing the other day when we did a football game.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a few of those days, too.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Down through the years, Chuck, we've had to adapt a lot when we're on the road during ball games. Equipment failures, phone line failures, just all kinds of things. Remember we did the game from the front porch of a lady's house in
Yes,
Latrobe?
that's right, because the phone line wasn't working in the press box. And back then we didn't have cell phones.
No, there's no such thing.
So it's either yell very loud so they can hear us back in Indiana, or this home just happened to be right across the street in the end zone area. And that's where we called the game from.
Just enough to see
Yeah.
from. We've done games from the back of the van overlooking the field at Laurel Valley, way up on top of that hill. We've done games from the top of press boxes in driving rainstorms and windstorms. You've
Hmm.
been everywhere. You're just like
Just
Johnny
about.
Cash, just like
Yeah.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah. A lot of different places.
Yeah. So as you
So
think about it, and down through the years, and you've been sharing stories all this week with a lot of different folks, what are some of the things that are going to stand out for you as you sit back on the porch swing there, and you think back on this for the next 10, 15 years when you think back on your time here in radio?
the different people that I've worked with, you and I go back to the days when Dial Miller was our engineer.
Oh yeah.
And if something was broke, he would just go downstairs, grab a piece from something else, glue it together, and he'd say, "Here, it works."
his,
And it did.
his army surplus stuff.
Yeah, his army surplus stuff.
He would,
Things like that. I think the people are the most memorable that that will come to mind.
yeah. Yeah, there's just so many of them, and we watch and we hear about them because, um, you know, people when they do move on, we get years and years, decades later, we hear of their passing, and it triggers a whole new
Hmm.
slew of memories. Dow Miller was just a terrific guy. And, he put on that crabby act as well as he could, but then he'd turn and he'd wink at you because he knew, I'm just doing this.
I can remember one of my first days ever at WDAD when we were down Leininger Hall. Must have been a Saturday morning, and back then the engineers were at the station all day.
Mhm.
That was a full-time job for them. And I came on 6 o'clock and I did my news report and everything, and turned around and he looked at me and goes, you sound pretty good, but people could hear you if you turn the transmitter on. It's, so that,
Those things happen.
yes.
Those things happen. Chauncey Ross has been with us here this week
Hmm.
a couple of times, and the stories of Chauncey dashing into the newsroom are just fabulous. I remember the time we had something called the go-kart
Hmm.
over there, and he cut it a little close as his news sounder had already run, and he went dashing into the newsroom, and his glasses caught on the go-kart, which was a circular machine.
Hmm.
And so he ran in there rubbing his face because it hurt, doing his newscast, not able to see because his glasses were on the go-kart, just spinning around and around and around.
He had the ability to be reading the news and talking on the telephone at the same time.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
did that many times.
just an amazing.
Unbelievable.
He's an amazing guy. And down through the years, all those different people that have worked with us in a variety of capacities. So here you go, off into the sunset, if you will, if you can find sun in Indiana County.
Yes.
And as you do, what are the plans? You traveling? You staying around the home? You
Well,
babysitting?
we have a major project on the house that we would like to start this summer. So that's going to take up a lot of time. And of course, the grandkids,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, they'll take up some time too.
just
won't
when
they?
you sit down and you think, oh, I'll just sit down for a couple of minutes, the front door always opens and two or three of them walk in. All right.
That's the reaction. Oh,
Yeah, here we go.
Hey,
No
hey,
problem.
speaking of here we go, there's a guy on the line right now that wants to say good morning to you. Good morning,
Okay.
Jack.
Hey guys.
Morning, Jack.
I thought I'd join the party.
Oh,
Thank you.
Glad you did. Glad you did.
Hey, Chuck,
Yeah.
Chuck, I have a remote for you, like next Wednesday. Are you available?
I don't know. I think I'm watching 6 Kids next Wednesday.
Oh, God.
Can I bring them along?
Yeah, bring them along. Give them a hammer and bring them along. Hey, I just wanted to congratulate you on your wonderful career. You know, you and I have been together for a long, long time. With the absence, I guess, of last year.
Yeah.
But, other than that, it was a great time we had with you the other day. And I know with Chauncey around and so on, there's a lot of memories there. And I've had a lot of time to think about memories, believe me. So I just want to congratulate you and enjoy your, I guess you call it retirement, and, don't work too hard.
Yeah. Well, Jack, you and Ray were one of the first 2 people that I ever first met in radio. And I would listen often to your games, and then had the opportunity to, be a part of some of your broadcasts. And I really did appreciate that, and I learned an awful lot from you 2 guys.
Well, that's good, because I'm still learning
Yeah.
from the standpoint, but it's been wonderful working with all you guys. And it's not my swan song, and I don't think it is yours either. You can stop in at any time. And it's just been a wonderful ride, and it's hard to believe that all these years have gone by, isn't it?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, when you fellas get your books all published, and everybody in Indiana radio publishes their book eventually, let's hope that your stories all match up.
Well, we'll be like Bill Stern when he was doing football. He'd make up all these laterals in a football game if he didn't know what was going on. So we'll just make it up.
Jack, you've had those moments when, and Ab was talking about this the other day, when you're still in the commercial and they start the game going again, and you have to scramble to remember what happened and try to put it into context. I know, Chuck, you've done that too.
Oh, many times.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Well, the one that comes to mind, and I do have it in print, was when Amir Du was playing for IUP, to do run.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were playing at Slippery Rock, and we go overtime. So I figured that, well, they're going to take 60 seconds before we get organized for overtime, so I cut to commercial. 30 seconds had gone by, they started to play. And Ironman hands off to Du, and he runs 25 yards and scores a touchdown. So I came back, and I recreated the whole thing. It was already done, and I said, that's what you call play after play instead of play by play.
Chuck, you've had those same things, haven't you?
Well, yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. But now, with all the videos that we have out there of their games, it might be a little more difficult.
No cheating.
Yeah.
No cheating.
We'll just tell them. We'll tell them it was on slow mo.
Yeah.
There you go. And of course, Chuck comes up with some wonderful phrases. Jack, we recall Lloyd Clemens. He wins the race to Chevy Chase. That was my favorite. Chuck.
That's good. I like that.
Used to call Lloyd the big train is what I named him.
Well, listen, I'm going to get out of here so the ratings go up. And thanks a lot for all your years, Chuck. And it's wonderful. And if you get an opportunity while you're with those grandkids and you can put aside all the things that they do, maybe give me a listen sometime if I get back in that booth over at Miller Stadium.
We'll be looking forward to it this fall, Jack.
Hey, Jack, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, you bet, guys. See you.
Okay.
There's Jack Benedict with us this morning. You're right, Chuck. It's the people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's the listeners. People would say to me, why do you do what you do? You're up at all hours of the morning. You're out at, till midnight at night with the game. I said, well, there's a lot of people I know that are listening to these broadcasts. Mm-hmm. And, without them, we wouldn't be doing this.
No, absolutely not.
So
you're going to go over, you want to do your news from in the booth here today?
Yeah, I have to get something first and then.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
We could have actual news.
It's been over a year since we've been face to face.
Yeah, inside the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't stand looking at it. No, I'm just kidding. Chuck Clark, you have all the nicknames that you've had. You mentioned Lloyd Clemens, the big train, and Nick the Rocket Stone.
Down the Blairsville days.
Yeah. Coming up with those nicknames is fun, too. Yeah. We're just going to call you Chuck the Legend Clark, if that's okay by you.
That's fine.
He's Chuck Clark. His retirement day is today. Thanks, Chuck.
Well, thank you. And again, to Indiana County, thank you for the last, whatever it's been, 46 or 47 years.
That's a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.